Hello everybody, it's Kanan.
It's Jessie.
We are the Geeky Saying Couple, and before we start this video, got a little business to do first, so please, here's a word from the sponsor of this video. Today's video is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the leading provider for audiobooks and more. With thousands of titles to choose from, including exclusives you won't find anywhere else, there is something for everyone. Whether you are looking for something new or an old favorite you have read or listened to many times, they have it. You can listen anywhere with the free app, and it can be downloaded on all smartphones and tablets. You can download titles and listen offline, anytime, anywhere. You can listen across devices without losing your spot. If you can't decide what to listen to, no worries. You can keep your credits for up to a year. We love to listen to audiobooks and podcasts on long trips, workouts, or cosplay crafting, or even when we're gaming. It helps pass the time and can also be relaxing. Escape into the world of an audiobook by using our link here, audibletrial.com/geeky saying couple. You can get a 30-day free trial. The link is down in the description below. Hope you guys enjoy the video. What's up, guys? Kanan here.
It's Jessie.
And we're the Geeky Saying Couple, and finally, a new RWBY video. What do you guys think of my Charizard Kigu? Finally got me one because it's getting cold and, well, it's warm. Very comfy. Very.
You were the only one without one.
Yeah, only one of our cosplay friends. Well,
the group we had.
Yeah. So finally got me one. But, so yeah, biggest reason why there's not been a RWBY video for a while is because really with the lack of RWBY news, we just couldn't really find the motivation to do a RWBY video. I mean, we done the Bumblebee one because that was the only big news that came out with, you know, Barbara pretty much coming out and saying, hey, Bumblebee was always planned. So yeah, this is our What If series, Alternate Realities, right?
Yes.
All right, I got it right this time. Originally, this was supposed to come out around the beginning of October, but with me doing the Halloween Game-a-thon and mostly wanting to do a whole month of creepy-related videos, that didn't happen. We said it would come at a later point. November was a very busy month with birthdays and Thanksgiving and all that. And yeah, this is about 5 days till Christmas. But decided, you know what? We need to do a new episode. And originally, this was going to be 2 what ifs in one video. It was going to be what if RWBY had saved Pyrrha and in the process had killed Cinder. But I got to thinking, taking Cinder out really creates a lot of plot holes. Creates a lot of, like, having to fill too many roles. Like, you know, you could always jump to, Salem starts building Emerald as, you know, her as Cinder's replacement. Oh, and also, like, would that have led Pyrrha to getting the Fall Maiden powers right then there at the end of Volume 3? But we decided to keep Cinder in the mix. So this would be if RWBY had just been a little bit faster in getting to the top of the tower before Cinder had shot the arrow into Pyrrha's heart and then, well, disintegrated her. Peter parked her, Thanosed her, snapped her, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I want to start off with, yes, Pyrrha's death was probably the very first major shock moment of RWBY, right up there with Yang losing her arm. So we want to start off by addressing, you know, taking away an in-show death where, like, a lot of people would say that if Pyrrha hadn't died, Volume 3 wouldn't have been as, I don't want to say controversial, but it wouldn't have been as monumental of a volume. I guess Yang losing her arm isn't enough, but that's the fun thing about these what ifs. It's not really taking stuff with the show at the forefront. You know, it's not taking away a death, making it less dramatic or anything. So yeah, Pyrrha's death was, for a lot of people, the first time RWBY made anyone cry. It happened to this one. I'll never forget, because I started watching it first. She caught up. I asked her, I said, who's some of your favorite characters? The moment I heard Pyrrha as one of them, I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And she just could tell from my, like, I did not do a very good job covering it with my face. And she was like, what? And I was like, do you really want me to tell you? I think you were like, yes, just so it'll be easier, I guess.
Oh, it wasn't any easier.
So Pyrrha still being alive at the end of Volume 3 creates a lot of interesting things. Of course, her and Jean. Where would her and Jean go? And really, what would Pyrrha's role be going forward? Because really, if you watch the show in canon, you would sit there sometimes and wonder if Pyrrha was still alive, what would she be doing? Where would she fit? What would her story be besides just her and Jean? So the volume 3 is happening. Ruby goes up the tower. She gets there just in time before Cinder shoots Pyrrha. And in this case, yes, in the show, Ruby seeing Pyrrha die was the first thing that triggered her silver eyes. Well, in this case, seeing Pyrrha and knowing that if she doesn't do something, Pyrrha is going to die, that is what triggers it. Pretty much does the same thing it did in the original part of the show. You know, it severely harms Cinder and freezes the giant worm Grim. So, of course, Pyrrha would go with Ruby, Jean, Ren, and Nora at the end of Volume 3 off into the real adventure of RWBY. Here's the thing, though. You wouldn't be able to have Team Junior or Ranger. It would have to be something different because Pyrrha would actually be there. There'd be a P in it, and it'd be 5 instead of 4. Now, here's the thing. Here's the first thing. Jean's upgrades. So, Pyrrha would definitely have a new look as well at this point. So, let's just say Pyrrha's got herself a new outfit, so she does decide to give Jean some of the pieces of her armor to, you know, get him his new sword, get him his new shield and all that, because I think it was just, he didn't use any of her weapons, did he?
No, it was just the medals and stuff like that he had.
Well, yeah, because her headpiece was really the only thing that was left, wasn't it? Because it hit the ground. So I think that's all he used.
Yeah, I mean, there was some other bits, but I think they melted whatever he could get from it, and that's the one front piece of that is on his shield.
So, of course, with Pyrrha kissing Jean, thinking, you know, in her mind, that she probably wouldn't come back alive, they're not automatically a couple. We're going to go down the realm of they both know they like each other, and so it's kind of, you know, every little thing makes the other blush or get shy or something. So, of course, this simple act of her letting him use her old armor pieces to improve his stuff gets a bit of a, you know, a blush out of him, and she blushes too. And, of course, you got Nora and Ren in the background, you know, Nora doing her whole and Ren just smiling and shaking his head. Ruby, of course, has her head elsewhere, but she knows this is it as well and smiles because, you know, in this timeline, she's the reason Jean and Pyrrha get to have this. For the most part, Volume 4 would play just like it normally does, except instead of using the recordings from Pyrrha to train, they would be doing some late night training. And no, don't get your head in the gutter, not that kind of late night training. But Pyrrha would continue to train Jean because, you know, he's going to continue to feel like he needs to be better. He needs to be stronger. Mostly there for his team and friends, but just so Pyrrha doesn't have to go through that again. Now, really, of course, we could have taken the time to come up with maybe a whole new story and all that for Pyrrha, but really at this point, I have a feeling Pyrrha probably would have been in the background for a lot of this stuff, kind of like how Juniper has been for a little bit, because in Volume 4 you don't have Jean struggling with the loss of Pyrrha. Really, it's just them struggling with finding the courage to tell each other how they feel, because it's kind of like, you kissed the guy. He knows. You can't kind of play it off anymore like you were at Beacon. So yeah, so really Volume 4, as far as Jean and Pyrrha goes, would just be kind of, building up on their budding romance. Ruby's story is still the same, even though she's not really, she's only dealing with Penny's death at that point. And of course, Ren and Nora and their whole backstory with the Knuckle V and all that still happens. Then we get into Volume 5. Now, of course, Volume 5 is notorious for a lot of things. But, Ruby and all them spend most of Volume 5 in a house. So you would have instances of them just doing normal, everyday things, like the many times we saw them eat and stuff like that. You would have little things like
Nora eating everything she cuts up.
yes, that, or just the simple act of, Jean handing Pyrrha something while they're cooking and causing them to blush. You would have little bitty things here and there. But then, of course, you also have the times where they are kind of trying to train up Oscar a little bit. And yes, of course, just with Jean becoming more of a big brother to Oscar down the road, Pyrrha would become a lot like a big sister. Kind of like how everybody kind of has. Kind of like how the interactions that Yang had with Oscar in Volume 8, especially when they rescued him, like everyone kind of sees him as the little brother in a way. When she rubbed his hair and all that, which was cute. During this time, of course, you have Jean bringing up that he still hasn't unlocked his semblance, which, of course, would get a, sad look from Pyrrha, because she sympathizes for him, but maybe she's feeling like she's not doing a good enough job training, because doesn't it kind of seem like it's been a while since I've fully watched all of Volume 2 and Volume 3, but as capable as Pyrrha is, I always got the feeling that sometimes she felt like, I don't know. It seemed like with Jean, she had doubts about herself sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I'm just interpreting things a little different. Like, it seemed like in battle, she had the most confidence. But when it came to everything else, I don't know. It seemed like sometimes Pyrrha was a little awkward sometimes with social interactions.
Also think about somewhat of her past.
Yeah. She's built up to be like this super heroine.
Yeah, when really she's just
a girl.
She doesn't see herself that way. So having the confidence in battle's different because that's just her element there. But outside of that, it's just that awkward, okay, well, am I even doing enough of this? Or am I good enough at this? I mean, and it seems that she, admired Jean for just, I have a feeling, a sneaking suspicion that she kind of knew that he probably wasn't there at Beacon like everybody else was.
Before he came out and told her?
Yes, I think she had probably some type of suspicion of it. But the thing is she knew, for the fact, well, he's there. He's still trying. He's still pushing.
Yeah.
I mean, what am I doing? I was pretty much granted to be here. In that sense. That's what I mean.
Yeah, because
that adds to the whole awkward, things that she did, or how, even just the body language.
Kind of like how you do. Anyway, but the thing is, even at this point, Jean has still grown a bit. I know we saw instances of it in the earlier volumes, but Volume 4 is really where they started building Jean as kind of the leader who is the strategist in a lot of ways. So her respect for him and all that has grown exponentially, but she is feeling like maybe she's not doing a good enough job training him into getting him to where he still needs to be. Because even in Volume 4, Jean still has some growing to do. Or even in Volume 5. So, moving on to the battle at Haven. Still pretty much goes the same way it would. I do think Pyrrha would have been a major help for them in the fight. But during the fight, Cinder remembering everything, kind of puts two and like in this case, we don't have Pyrrha's death for Jean to go after Cinder, but Cinder is smarter than a lot of people give her credit for, especially when it comes to seeking out enemy weaknesses. So I think she would see in battle that Jean has feelings for Pyrrha. So of course,
try to use that.
Yeah,
against him.
Yeah, like she would start taunting him and all that. Like, I may not have finished her off at Beacon, but I'll make sure that she's dead by the end of this. And the biggest major change, I think, if Pyrrha was still alive, it would have been her who got impaled instead of Weiss. So, because, okay, a lot of people, want to think that the reason why it was Weiss who got stabbed was because maybe they're thinking of going the White Knight route. That still remains. It's more shipping theory than it is anything. It's just opinion. We don't know yet. We do not know yet. Even though Kara has said that's her favorite ship is White Knight. But that was why a lot of people thought it was Weiss, and that was the one that unlocked Jean's semblance. Personally, I don't know if Jean will ever move away from Pyrrha. It seems like the more they've kept it around, they throw in little hints that he still is latched to her. I don't know if they'll ever have him end up with somebody else. It remains to be seen. Who knows by the time we get to Endgame what the climate of RWBY will be as far as character relationships. But yeah, I definitely think it would have been Pyrrha, because, just think about how that would go with their story. Him seeing her, for all he knows, he's lost her again, and it being her almost dying to unlock his semblance.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so, it would definitely make sense for it to be Pyrrha in this case. So, of course, it still goes the same way. She finally starts to wake up. Maybe she would have said something a little cute to him when she woke up. And yeah, Volume 5 ends really the same way it did, with Team RWBY finally fully reuniting and knowing that we've got to go to Atlas. Volume 6, it's kind of hard to say, because for the first half of the volume, Team Juniper is not even there. They're in the premiere, but then, they get separated. So yeah, she is on the train with the others when them and Team RWBY part ways. They go to Argus first. Now, what I would have loved to have seen is Pyrrha meeting Jean's sister. Because you just know, as much as she loves to antagonize him and pick on him, first thing, oh, is this the girl that you told us about in your letters? Shut up!
Yeah, and I could see,
even if he didn't send her letters, be like, ooh, you like this girl, don't you?
And I could see when RWBY finding out that she'd get quite the kick out of that.
Yeah. So what about the statue scene? Probably one of the most emotional moments in RWBY. Okay, so I think I understand that in Volume 6, that statue was built in memory of her, correct?
I think so.
Well, in this timeline, it's still there, but it was built because she's a hero there. She survived Beacon. It would say that she was one of the reasons why so many survived, is because she fought so bravely. So yeah, the statue is still there. Now, what kind of scene would they still have? I think it would be it'd definitely be a romantic scene. I don't know exactly what they'd say to each other, but, Jean would see it and be like, just realizing how larger than life Pyrrha is seen to people. And it'll cause him to once again think, why me? Why me of all people? And maybe this would be finally like, did she say to him in the early volumes that's because he saw her as a normal person?
Yes.
Okay. She would
she'd probably retouch on that.
Yeah, she would pretty much regurgitate it, saying,
I told you before.
Yeah, you're the only one that saw me as me and not like that. And then, like, we still do not know to this day who this character was, because she only showed up in one volume. But, besides the theories that it was like Pyrrha reincarnated or something, it was more than likely Pyrrha's mom. But in this timeline, she definitely will be Pyrrha's mom. And so she just shows up and is like, well, I'm glad you told me you were back in town. And so you would just have this funny scene of Pyrrha introducing Jean to her mom and just how all that would go. So yeah, that's one of the big major changes in Volume 6 is that whole interaction between them meeting Pyrrha's mom and, of course, meeting Jean's sister. Around this time also...
I can see Pyrrha fawning over the baby, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Also, during this moment, just like... We never saw anything concrete. Because, of course, Nora so far is one of the few characters that has mentioned about Blake and Yang's relationship. But Pyrrha would start to be like, that's reminded me a little bit of the situation that I'm in. So, it would be like... That's one thing I kind of wish that Pyrrha was still around and Arcos was still around, because we would get more parallels between them and Renora and them and Bumblebee. But yeah, it's like she already definitely knows that Nora is in love with Ren. Like let's just say, and I mean it may have happened in canon, we don't know, but let's just say Nora told Pyrrha. Like Pyrrha is one of the few people that 100% know. Which I would not put it past Nora to telling Pyrrha. But Volume 6 still pretty much goes the same way it did after that. They try and steal the airship. They fight the mech. Blake and Yang fight Adam. Except, Pyrrha's there. In which, really, if you think about it, against that mech, Pyrrha's semblance probably would have came in would have been helpful. Big time. So yeah, it may have been an easier fight with her there because of her semblance. But sadly it's still just a what if. What the heck am I talking about? Anyway, we get to Atlas in Volume 7. Now, I wish I could picture what Pyrrha's outfit would have been. Also, it definitely would have been Pyrrha who cut Jean's hair. That would have been cute. It would have been a cute scene. It really would have. And really, the thirsty mom scene. Yeah, well, we got to talk about that. So, for the most part, really, it's hard to figure out what Pyrrha's role in Volume 7 would have been, because so much happens in Volume 7, and there's a lot of it where even Jean, Ren, and Nora are in the background. I mean, yeah, Ren and Nora had their kiss in Volume 7, but more than likely, Pyrrha probably would have been at the movies with Jean, Oscar, and Weiss. Probably. So, yeah, so that's one definite thing. Pyrrha would have went to the movies with Jean and the others. So she wouldn't have been there for the kiss and the massacre. But I could just imagine Jean getting hit on by those moms, and there stands Pyrrha and Nora's like, it's got to be the haircut, and Nora just standing there with her arms crossed. Kind of like silently fuming. Not like outwardly, like I think Pyrrha would hold her cool. But inside she's like, stay away from him. Other than that, I think Volume 7 is pretty much still... See, you want to think that Pyrrha would have a really large role, but really if you place her in there with everyone else,
it would still play out.
Yeah,
like,
it would still play out.
Work. Just minor things would be different.
Now, of course...
Well, some minor things.
Now, Volume 8 comes, so we got to think which side Pyrrha would have went on. So on one end, we've got Ruby, Weiss, Blake, Nora, and Penny. And then on the other, we've got Yang, Jean, Ren, and Oscar. One's got 5, the other's got 4. So just by default, we're going to say Pyrrha went with Jean and Yang. Because, I mean...
I don't really see that.
You don't?
No.
But don't you think a 6-person team would have been overkill?
I mean, yes, but I don't know. I still see Yang going with them, just, one of the guys. It kind of just fits that way. I don't really see Pyrrha going that way. I see her trying to help the others up there.
Maybe.
Like,
I was just trying to even up the teams.
Well, I mean, it still could work that way, but I think it would take away from some things.
Yeah, I guess character wise, though I would love a scene of in that shack, the whole Ruby and Weiss look at him like.
You mean Pyrrha?
Oh yeah, Pyrrha just look at him like.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but it might make more sense. But it just seems like getting 6 people through Atlas and all that would have been hard.
If that was that point, then maybe there could have been another split and plan of working 2 different things to make their plan.
Well, yours is definitely better than mine. I was just trying to even up the teams and just thinking that Pyrrha would just go because Jean was going. But then again, but then again, her going with the other team, it's still splitting the romantic relationships up. Yes. So it might work.
I think when it got to, getting all 6 of them in, once they got in, they would split to make their plan work a different way. Like, pretty much 2 teams working to get around to everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I see that would happen.
So before we go forward, we got to talk about where Arcos is at this point. Like...
I think that'd be established.
I don't know. With the kind of character that Jean is, it's hard to say because the boy cannot read a room like no other. But then again, he done a pretty good job reading the room when Ren and Nora had their talk after they all reunited. So he's getting better.
But I think Renora would
Renora would have kissed in Volume 7 like normal.
Yeah. But I think we would have, it's somewhere through all of this, we would have had some sort of establishment with them, because I don't think, since they would have been first, then we've got Renora.
Yeah, because I just don't think we would be in a hurry to capitalize on them yet, because they've already kissed. They've already had that moment.
We'd have something that just more established them. Then they'd go on the back burner. That's when Renora came forward, as well as Bumblebee started coming forward. And then they're kind of, it would be like...
And it's really hard because...
Twisting back, it'd be like going back and forth. Like,
yeah, because it's kind of hard because what happens when they all reunite? Because you don't want to take away from Bumblebee's moment. It's hard to say. Or we could go a more tragic moment, and let's say they didn't really... See, it's hard to say. Because like I said, I don't want to take away from Bumblebee's moment, but you'd have to have something happen. Maybe instead of him holding Ruby's hands, it would have been Pyrrha's instead. But you can kind of go the tragic route and saying that's all they did when you get to the end of Volume 8, because Jean still falls, because we don't know what happens in Volume 9, so we're keeping who falls the same. So that would mean Pyrrha is one of the ones who got to Vacuo, so she is going to think Jean is dead. So now you've got a whole lot of thing you can work with in Volume 9.
That would, once they come out of all that, that would have led to their reunion moment.
Yeah.
Where Bumblebees would be there.
Yeah.
And
then once they got back, you would finally get, like,
yes,
closure for Jean and Pyrrha. Because even though we've not talked about much in this, Jean and Pyrrha are still pretty much, like, they are a thing in a way. It's just, it's hard to say what would have happened just because of how Jean is as a character. If maybe they do pair him off with someone else eventually, maybe we would see how he really does handle a full-on romantic relationship. But that's the one thing about Arcos. He came around a little too late. But yeah, he falls. And here's the thing, though. We're going to just try and guess what would happen in Volume 9. Pyrrha would mourn, of course, just like Jean did with her. But, you know, she would look up and she'd see all these refugees from Atlas who need to get to safety quickly. It would pretty much be the keep moving forward moment for her, for everybody, you know. And so I could see in Volume 9 with their group, maybe Pyrrha establish herself more as a leader type, along with Winter and everybody else, and to trying to get the refugees to help. So yeah, I think, you know, hopefully it happens, but in Volume 9 is when you would get the Bumblebee kiss, when they reunite, and then when they finally get out of that new world, Jean and Pyrrha would reunite, and that's when you'd get the second kiss of Arcos, and just, you know, and then at that point, we've got the three major relationships that RWBY had built up, full and established. Arcos, Renora, Bumblebee. And where it goes from there, we don't know. Does Pyrrha still die later in the series? Who knows? Does Jean die? Does Ren and Nora die? We don't know yet. There's 1,000 ways they could go that route. But, so yeah, not much would... I don't want to say not much would change because a lot of people love Pyrrha and still wish she was around. But it's really hard to think up of where... It's too hard to go off the beaten path how the show has already went. You know, with stories like what if Yang was raised by Raven, it's a bit easier with that kind of story because you've kind of got already
places to twist things.
Yeah, where with Pyrrha, you know, with Pyrrha kind of being a secondary main character instead of a lead character like Team RWBY, there's not much wiggle room. Like there would only be like a certain few scenes where you could add something for her. But personally, I do wish Pyrrha was still around. I would have loved to have seen her. With how far the series has come, maybe we'll get a flashback of her or something one day to see her like truly a full model in the new engine and all that. I know we've seen like some stuff of her, but not like a fully detailed one. But that's all I've got.
Yeah, I mean...
We went all the way to Volume 9 for it, so even though Volume 9 has still not happened. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button. Check the description below for the link to Audible and all that. I don't think anything else is going on. Thank you to all the new subscribers. We're almost to 510. Thank you all so much. We love you guys to death. As always, guys, this is Kanan.
This is Jessie.
We love you all very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Stay warm. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.